Hello people QiCycle, in the last video, Pimp My QiCyCle, we dealt with the aesthetic theme. Today, however, we will see how to improve and solve the negative points of this already fantastic Xiaomi folding electric bike. Yes, because although it is fantastic, there are some negative points too. Annoying ticking while pedaling, so heavy rear brake that does everything except braking, pedals too plastic for my taste, and saddle not suitable for a purely citizen use. Follow me, let's see how to improve these 4 points, with a budget of €100. To improve comfort, surely a saddle with gel and spring padding is recommended, given the absence of cushioning in the frame. Regarding the braking theme, although the rear brake affects relatively little in stopping the bike in the race, its replacement certainly benefits in terms of performance and therefore safety. While for the continuous and annoying ticking during the pedaling, replace the cheap plastic bottom bracket kit with a more performing aluminum, surely will improve the daily use, making our pedaling absolutely silent. And while we are there, we spend for more money and also replace the pair of pedals in plastic with this pair of aluminum and magnesium alloy, quick release, reducing even more their size during transport, while ensuring performance very respectable. Saddle BR-N, Shimano Nexus Series 6000 brake, FSA central movement, Wellgo pedals, total €123. By opting for the Shimano Nexus 3000 series brake, the cost drops below €100. Obviously for the QiCycle, entering the market for only €400, it was impossible to equip it with these top components. Upgrade that I consider necessary, in order to make this bike unbeatable. Aesthetics, performance, versatility, simply a gem. Now that we know the exact model of the components, we will briefly see the unboxing of each one. Saddle as already mentioned, BR-N, Bravo Plus. I avoided models 2 City to Style, Panaro, and I opted for this model quite compact, but with a soft gel coating, and 2 springs to cushion some roughness of the city. I do not live in Rome, but the holes are also in my part. Being this saddle designed for city bikes, it will be possible to install it on many bike models. We will only need a 13-inch wrench to quickly remove what we do not need. Et voila, ready to be installed in a few minutes. I forgot, made in Italy. As for the rear brake, my choice went to the 6000 series of Nexus, the top. Clearly, to notice improvements, it was enough the 3000 series, much cheaper, if your intent is to solve the problem by spending as little as possible. Very robust to the touch, certainly not light, weighs about 6-7 ounces. Heat dissipation disc with a diameter of 150 mm, aesthetically very beautiful and showy compared to the original mounted on the Xiaomi. And these are the 3 accessories for its assembly, which we will see shortly in this video. Instructions manual in English, Chinese, Spanish and Portuguese. In the description to the video I leave you anyway the PDF in English. If you also own this Xiaomi bike, you will have noticed some ticking while pedaling, for example facing some climbs. Well, the problem lies in the central movement installed by Xiaomi, too cheap and plastic. If you think that all the strength and power of your pedaling is going to end up on this component, there will also come a child who use plastic is not a wise decision. That's why replacing this component with a metal one will completely change the feeling on the bike, solving the problem at the root. Anyone who owns a QiCycle should replace it, really. Here too, there is a page in English that will help you with the installation. For its fixing, we will need the special insert with 20 teeth, shown at number 4, as well as the special tool to extract the cranks. Do not worry, it's not difficult. We'll see it together soon on my bike. Pedals. The latter are not necessarily to be replaced, but done 30, we also do 31, no? I wanted to change them simply because I never had plastic pedals on my bikes, and I must say that the build quality of these Chinese, Wellgo, is truly impressive. Moreover, once extracted, the size of the bike is further reduced, Soon I will show you some photos that prove it. They will arrive with this practical bag, excellent for storing them once they are unhooked from the bike. Inside there is a partition very thick, to prevent the pedals from ruining one against the other, although in metal they are very light. Here too there is an instruction manual for their assembly, also in English, although their installation is simple, since there are quick releases, details, a look at the manual is still recommended to give it. Also present these two chromed supports necessary for a correct installation, as well as two pairs of washers of different thickness, necessary to rotate the final position of the quick release by 90 degrees or 180 degrees. Soon we will see better what it means. Multilingual quick guide, in 4 simple steps. Analyzing them briefly. The release is really quick. Once pressure is applied to the rim, in a moment the pedal will slide off. Once placed, just reset the black ring, and the pedal will be fixed and ready to rotate and do its job. Clearly there is the possibility of blocking the mechanism, to avoid a sudden accidental release. Very beautiful. I feel I have done a great shopping, but now follow me to mine, Pimp My Garage. I cannot wait to install and try everything. A torque wrench is recommended for all mechanical work on a bike. For now it is not necessary, an 8mm Allen wrench will suffice. We begin by removing the screw that secures the cranks. At this point you will need these two tools. Find the link in the description. This will serve to disassemble and reassemble the bottom bracket shells, while this one will be used to remove the cranks. Do not you have these tools? So you do not even start work. It will only be lost time, guaranteed. The tool remove the cranks is formed in 2 parts, in my case, a black and a silver. You must proceed by first inserting the black part, screwing it directly onto the pedal crank you want to extract, first with your hands, and then with the help of a 16-inch wrench. Once you reach the stop, you will insert the second silver-colored part, always helping with the wrench from 16. Unfortunately this insert is not good for my super torque wrench, otherwise with the long lever I would have done before. Patience, the good old way by helping with the feet always works. A couple of half turns with the foot, and immediately it will rise. Here we are, long last. All this effort with the right tools, let alone not have them, mission impossible. Now that we have this tool in hand, we also take down the other crank. We remove the chain from the chain tensioner, and place it on the floor temporarily, better on a square of paper, so it will not get dirty, neither the chain nor the floor. The procedure is the same as before, this time much easier. As you can see, it is disassembled with the force of the arms alone. Well, now we can remove and replace the bottom bracket. To do this, This time I will use my super torque wrench. The 20-tooth insert to remove the bottom bracket shells has a 3-octave square attack, perfect for my torque wrench. Ready. First we will disassemble the cap on the left side of the bike, the one with the only pedal crank to be clear. Counterclockwise. And here is one end 100% plastic, absurd. Feel what noise it does? But let's move on to the other side. This time it looks like metal, at least half. Let us remember that it unscrews clockwise this time. And as for the chainside crank, this chainside cap has also been unscrewed very easily. And here it is in detail, the super economical 80% plastic bottom bracket, due to those annoying ticking during our rides. Plastic versus aluminum, how to remove the problem from the root. But before proceeding, since the frame and the thread is practically clean, we apply a generous layer of anti-seize paste. The brush is what it is, patience. We remove the excess retrospectively. Well, let's proceed. First disassemble the removable cap and insert the bottom bracket, trying to dirty it as little as possible with anti-seize paste. First by hand, and then with the torque wrench. I locked them both at 45-50 Newton meters. We turn the bike and complete the tightening. First by hand, clockwise this time. And then with the help of the dynamometer, are always at 45-50 Newton meter. And substituted. To restore the cranks now is very simple. Once the crank has been placed, the original screw is inserted and tightened with a dynamometric wrench and an 8mm hexagonal insert. First using the smallest dynamometer, and then tightening to a maximum of 24 Newton meter, and then moving to heavy, not being sure 24 were sufficient, thus ending to tighten to 45 Newton meter. I believe it will hardly be loosened now. Same with potatoes on the crown side. Crank. Lives. Tighten to 24 Newton meter, and then to 45 Newton meter. We also restore the chain. And go. We continue with the next component. We continue now with the replacement of the pedals. I will use a special key covered with rubber, just to not crawl any painted parts. Alternatively, a 17mm key will be fine. Xiaomi supplied it with the bike itself, or you can use a 6mm Allen key. The right pedal has the traditional thread. Just turn the pedal anti-clockwise to disassemble it. Even grease and anti-seize paste are essential for any mechanical work on your bike. Both they prevent moisture from entering into delicate parts, lubricates the moving parts the first, while avoiding the seizure of the threaded parts the second. Being threaded the part of fixing pedals, we will apply the anti-seizure brush, in white, in the practical brush, in the case of Shimano. Remove the excess, and recover the quick release, with the right thread for the right side. Pair it with this special chrome washer supplied. In this way. In fact, it will be used to activate the lock for unintentional release. The 4 washers will also be supplied, 0,3 and 0,6 their thicknesses. These thinner, if applied, will rotate the pedal release ball 90 degrees. Being equipped with a block, it does not make much sense, however, to decide how to position them during fixing. In my case, however, having the rubber pedal guards, I will have to use both washers as thickness, in order to be able to fix everything without problems. So we fix everything with our hands, finishing the installation with a 24 Nm torque wrench, the maximum of this key, even if the manufacturer speaks of 32 Nm. The hook release movement is very simple and fluid. Fits. It is brought back into position. It blocks. Repeating. Unlocking. Release. Hook. Relock. Very easy. And here the comparison that I mentioned earlier. With the pedals uncoupled, the overall dimensions are smaller than the original ones closed. Look at the photo on the right. Repeat the same operations also for the left pedal. Remember that the thread is inverse, so you will disassemble it by rotating it clockwise, while the quick release will be fixed by rotating it counterclockwise. The moment of the rear brake has arrived. First we loosen the old brake, using a wrench size 10. Attention to the magnet wrenches. Then we release the brake from the frame, using a cross screwdriver externally, and a wrench of 10 internally. Alternatively, 2 keys of 10 can be the same. We recompose the bolt so as not to lose it. Well. Now with a pincer, we remove the end of cable end cap. It will now be possible to remove the entire cable from the old brake. English key from 15, and we open the check dice. We pay attention to the order. Check nut, rondella, staffa with magnet. If the latter is resistant, we will leverage the upper part, towards the brake. A few taps and the bracket comes off. We set the gearbox to 3, if we had not already done so. With a 10-inch wrench, we loosen the black nut for a few turns, and release the Nexus gearbox. English wrench from 15, the same as the check die, and let's remove the nut. This time between the nut and the frame there is no washer, the nut is in fact already flanged. Remove the chain from the chain tensioner and unhook the wheel. Perfect. The nut turns with the brake. Okay. Wrench from 17 and remove the nut. Now finally pulling towards you, we eliminate the old brake. Mama mia, how fat is inside. Of course he did not restrain a club. We recover the new brake. A brief visual comparison of the old, on the left, and the new on the right. Its installation is very simple. Simply center the threaded pin with the new brake, and tighten the nut with the 17-inch wrench. We manually try to brake. Okay, everything is regular. Note, this 3/8 component has been orphaned. Evidently it is useful in some other type of installation, but not in our case on the QiCyCle. So I believe the choice between 3 octaves or 10mm axis is absolutely indifferent, since this component is not used. What to say, buy the version that costs less. While these other 2 inserts will be installed, respectively, the die here, while that other of there. Exactly as I am illustrating on video. Now we reassemble the wheel and the frame, respecting the order seen during the disassembly. We are ready to fix the brake cable. Take the measurement more or less, and fasten the nut to the brake cable. First stop the brake cable sheath here. Then help yourself with the other hand, tighten the brake slightly and insert the nut, aligning the 2 red dots as shown. The brake cable is slightly short. It is already the second time that I have to shorten it, but everything works wonderfully. If you feel the brake lever too soft, unscrew the wire tensioners a little, and once you have found the desired size, tighten the nut to fix this measurement. End. Now that we reason, fantastic. We just have to replace the saddle too. I think among the 4 operations seen today, this is the simplest. Remove the C-tube from the frame. A single screw holds the saddle in place and tilts it into position. With the help of an Allen wrench, we unscrew it a little. With our hands we should do nothing else but rotate the upper plate by 90 degrees, so that the old saddle gets free and comes off. At this point, we retrieve the new saddle, keeping the brackets in the same position we are going to insert. We reposition the upper bracket perfectly aligned with the lower bracket, and tighten the only screw. And here is the new cushioned saddle, in gel, in full black version. We just have to reposition the C-tube in the frame, fix it, and at this point adjust the excursion and the inclination of the saddle. The saddle must be perfectly flat and level, except for this version, amortized. In fact, it is deliberately slightly inclined forward. This is because as soon as you climb into the saddle, at the pressure of the springs, it will line up perfectly. Did you know you could turn on the front headlight only? Yes, it has no use, but it can be done. Well, even for this video we have come to conclusions. Sorry if I have held you for half an hour, but since it is Mechanical Workhouse Wives, for everyone, I wanted to explain well everything step by step, in case you want to make the changes you too. Remember that I will not take any responsibility if things do not go right for you, so if you are not sure what you are about to do, trust a good mechanic of trust. Surely will have the tools and the experience you need to do these jobs in a short time and in a professional way. In conclusion, I must admit that with these changes the bike has changed and improved a lot. Now the pedaling, thanks to the new metal central movement, and to the new pedals, is fluid, but above all without any annoying noise, even while striving in some climbs. As for the brake, now it brakes in a divine way, without necessarily having to get to the wheel lock. No descent will be more scary, giving back an unmatched feeling of security. As for the saddle, my bottom has promoted with full marks, not as large as the saddle of my old women's bike, but not as sporty as the original, the right compromise between comfort and pedalability, in a word, perfect. Since Xiaomi has not thought about all these improvements right away, otherwise the QiCycle would have truly been the queen of all electric folding. I hope you enjoyed the video and it was useful. Let me know with a like. Any doubt or questions, leave them with a comment to the video. I greet you, and I wait for you at my next video. Ciao.